Now, Positively Ernie with Ernie Anastos, a New York TV legend and radio host with great positive stories and interviews.
Thanks, Ernie. You're the best.
And now, here's Ernie.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'd love to be here, and I enjoy having you here. By the way, I'm very happy and pleased with the response that I'm getting on this podcast and so many of the other things that we're doing on WABC Radio. Thank you for that. I'm glad you're enjoying it and growing with us and learning. This is what the program is about. I love to empower people. I like to stimulate, your senses of who you are and what you're all about. And that is exactly what I'm talking about today. I want you to meet Marleny Cruz. Put the camera on her right now because she looks wonderful in the studio. She's got a great smile. I love your spirit. Marleny, people should know that you are a lot of things. You're an entrepreneur. You are a broadcaster in many ways. You've got a podcast coming up. You're an activist. You're a motivational speaker. I mean, your whole theme is exactly what this show is about. And you've got a company called SOS Media Group. Now, first of all, welcome to the show. You happy to be here?
I am absolutely happy, ecstatic to be here. First and foremost, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you for having me here, but most importantly, thank you for your work over the years. You are the legend.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't really think about that. You know that. I'm really humbled by everything that's happened to me and just giving back to do the thing that I was born to do. And that's what you're doing right now. I love the fact that you are trying to empower people. Among other things, life-changing, life-altering experiences. Tell us exactly what you do so everybody can understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've been in business for 13 years now. I started within the health and wellness industry. I had an internet radio station on the second floor, public speaking, everything was going wonderful. 7 years into it, I acquired an ESL school in Newark, New Jersey. And then 2 years into that, COVID happened.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So I don't even have to say much after that.
We
right?
know.
Everything was just upside down. And one day I was home. I was a single mom of then a 1-year-old.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? What happens now, Marleny, right? Yeah. And I was in the shower one day and I happened to hear, I kid you not, I happened to hear science of survival. As if somebody was right next to me.
Yeah.
And then seconds later, I visualized SOS. And so I said, there's something here, right?
There it is, SOS, Science of Survival. What a connection. Yeah, continue with that. I like the story.
Yeah. So I said, there's something here, right? We were all trying to survive to COVID. And I said, okay, I'm going to go with it. So the first thing that was born is what I then had, an institute. So SOS Institute. I also had an internet radio, so SOS Radio Live. Right. And the ecosystem just kept evolving.
Wow. This whole thing just hatched and became reality for you.
Yeah, it just became.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I took the background that I had of business, my desire to do positive things, to do great things for humanity, but focusing on content, which it's very important for people to understand.
Yeah.
Just like it is important for us to watch what we eat, it is very important for us to watch what we consume.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Because it stays in our subconscious
mind. What you put in here. And what you put in here.
Absolutely. And your show is all about that, positivity.
Yeah, and that's why you're here.
Yes, empowerment. So I said, okay, and I started this ecosystem. SOS Multimedia is an ecosystem of organizations that work synergistically together for one mission and for one purpose, to create content that is life-altering, that is personal development, that is positive.
I love this.
Yes.
So tell me how that works now, okay? People are saying, okay, so you've got this SOS group. Do you go out? Do you solicit clients? Do they come to you? How do you get this information? I know you've got a magazine.
Yes.
SOS Magazine, right here.
Yes.
Take a look at that. Okay.
So SOS Magazine is a personal development handbook, really. Every month is a digital and printed magazine. And we recommend books every month. We share vocabulary of the month that's different. We share stories, impactful stories, stories of success.
I see this, take the SOS pledge.
Absolutely.
Uniting for positive change, vision and mission. I like this a lot.
Yes.
This is the kind of thing that you're talking about, content.
Yes.
So people read this, people are motivated by this, And do you counsel people? Do you talk to them in person and so forth? Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we do counseling, we do coaching for business people, for people that just want to do something positive and don't know where to go. Mm-hmm. For people that don't know what their passion or their purpose is yet, we help them find that, right?
Good.
And kind of nurture them in the way or the path that they want to go. So we have many different ways and many different avenues to do that. SOS Radio Live, for example, it's live every Sunday. We have different programming. Then it's placed as a video on demand.
Okay.
SOS Podcast is the audio version of that gets distributed to many different distribution channels. Good. SOS Magazine, the printed and digital magazine.
So you have a lot of different platforms working for it. Now, people who are listening and watching are saying, okay, I like what you're doing, but I want to hear some specific examples. You talk about content. Someone is sitting there. Let's say it's not corporate. It's an individual.
Yes.
And the individual says, I lack confidence. I would like to have more sense of who I am and a feeling of what my purpose in life is. And so bullet points. You're sitting there and you're talking to somebody and you say, okay, here's what I think you should do. Absolutely. What do you say?
The first thing is for you to know, what is it that you want to do? What is your passion? What is your purpose? What is your desire? What makes your heart sing?
Yeah.
Right?
And how do you find that? Okay.
That's a very interesting question. Now, the $1 million question, right?
That's the big one, right? You say, okay, I like what you're saying, but how do I find this? Now, I have some thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Because, on a personal level, I've always felt that you have to look inside.
Absolutely.
Right? And you ask yourself the hard questions. Yeah. What do I like? What do I really like? And not to be afraid of what you're going to say. It could be anything. And it might feel like I'm being silly. I like, I don't know, I like pets. I like dogs. But you use that as a launching point, and you say, okay, I have an interest in life, in animal life, taking care of someone, development, nature, and then you start to expand in terms of what kind of careers are related to that. What can I look into? How can I use this love and this passion to turn it into something on a positive level that can help others?
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, I would say it is very important for people to know why they love what they love and they like what they like and they do what they do. What is your why?
Yes.
Right? Because as you are going into, for example, if somebody wants to go into business, it is very important for them to know their why. If they don't know their why, when the challenges come in, when the hard times come in, that they will.
Marleny, that's excellent. Excellent. That's exactly what it's about.
Right. So once you know your why, it anchors you. It allows you to be more, fortifying that why and that reason. It keeps you going, even when those, times become very difficult.
Okay, Marleny, someone is going to probably say, all right, I hear what you're saying. The why is important. If I can't do it on my own, who do I turn to? Where do I go to get a little guidance, you, and maybe some people around you? Who do you talk to?
That's a very good question. Yeah. It is very important for you to keep a good circle of people and go seek advice from the people that are where you want to be.
Excellent.
Or on their way there, right?
Yep.
There's so many opinions out there. Everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
You want the opinion of the person that is where you want to be. There's a reason success leaves clues, right? Like Jim Rohn says.
Right.
And there's a reason as to why they succeeded, right? So it gives you some clues. It is also very important for you to surround yourself with people that care about your success. They care about your well-being, that are there for you, and support a support group, a support network.
So important.
Is very important.
Yeah.
Like-minded individuals, which takes me to SOS Community, right?
Yeah.
It's a community. That's where they take the pledge. You enter into this community, you take the pledge to be of help to others and to be of help to yourself, right? That's what SOS is all about.
I like that.
So you surround yourself with like-minded individuals that will support their mission and will support your mission at the same time.
So, many times I've talked about how people are like elevators. I use this a lot. They can take you up or down.
Absolutely.
And what you're saying is that if you are associated with people who are thinking the same way you are in terms of your spirit and attitude, it's very important to point this out. We're not talking about a difference of opinion. respecting other people's viewpoint, whatever it happens to be. We're talking about a different matter. We're talking about the spirit from within. Yeah. We're talking about people who have an attitude about respect, making sure that you honor people, and doing the right thing. That's a whole different thing from respecting people's opinions about whatever it happens to be, politics and so forth. Now we're talking about being on the same page. And when you're with somebody like that. Now, let's talk about this, because I know that you and I are going to get all fired up here. Talk about how great it is when you discover the why and what you're doing and what it leads to and the results that you have seen in your own life and the lives of other people that you've been helping.
That's a great question. Thank you for that question. Yeah. In my personal journey, one of the things that have helped me tremendously is the fact that I have a level of clarity that I haven't seen too much around. I know exactly what I want. I know why I want it. I know where I want to go. I know my path.
Sure.
And the importance for that is when I see the bigger picture, right? I'm able to strategically plan and move my parts, my decision making and everything that I do. So it could be easier and it could lead me in a faster route to where I want to be at the end. So what is your bigger picture? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And hence this may change, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's important that you bring that up. It's okay to change, because a lot of people feel like, okay, once I'm on this path, I have to really stick to it to a certain extent. But if you're open and you're flexible, then you can expand even further in terms of what the why is.
Exactly.
And where you're going. I think that's so important.
To allow life, to have a certain level of clarity is important. And to allow life to also move you, shape you, mold you.
Yes.
Right?
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Very
it's
exciting.
The excitement of life.
I love it.
Yeah. And you're going to have dark moments, difficult moments, challenges. But when you have this level of clarity and love for where you want to be, these challenges, you'll be able to take them on.
You know what? Somebody once said to me, it's important to be consistent in terms of who you are, have some consistency, but with the element of surprise.
Yes.
Allow yourself to be surprised of what you're capable of doing.
Yes.
And when you try something new that you haven't done before, you grow from that.
Absolutely.
Botanical garden, there was a big sign that said, the only sign of life is growth.
Oh, I love
so
that.
You look at that and you look at plants that are growing, but it's us. It's humans as well. I mean, you have to be growing to be alive. Yeah. And I think that you and I share that same message. Now, let me ask you this, because I like to jump around. I love talking about this. We unfortunately are experiencing, and we have for a while now, a very kind of negative divisiveness in our country. And I'm not just talking about, a political spectrum, but just in general. There's a lot of anger out there. I mean, you see it. We happen to be living in New York, and it's a great city. I have so many good things to say about it. But many times you see here and in other cities as well, this anger. There's this, we have problems with racism, and I don't care to see that. I don't like to see that. And a lot of people don't want to see it, but it seems to be feeding itself. And I don't like that negativity. How can we help? What can we do to get people to say, hey, I'm going to respect, I love the word respect. Yeah. I'm going to respect you. I'm going to honor you as someone who comes from the same human family. How can we get that message across?
Wow. What a powerful question.
Yeah. What can we do? We're supposed to have leaders that are going to be doing that. And I hope they're out there listening. But what can we do as individuals in our own community? You talked about community. How do we do that to kind of pull together?
Well, you said a very key and very important word, respect, right? When we respect each other, even though we have a difference of opinion, that's okay, right?
Sure.
When we respect each other and we do not think that our opinion is the only one or the only way, we could be wrong, or we could expand, or, it's very important. That leads me to SOS debates. That's another kind of avenue or leg to what we're building.
Yes.
These debates, SOS debates, are specifically made sort of like, it starts like martial arts, where you respect the opponent, you respect the person that you are going to be debating.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So is solution-oriented synthesizing debates, solution-oriented. We're coming together to share our opinion, whether they're diverse. Diversity is very, very important.
Sure.
Whether they're different in opinion, right? We're coming together. We're coming together from a space of respect.
Yeah.
From a space, let's find a solution. I am not going to think that I am the only one that has the truth.
Sure.
You don't have all the truth either. Right. She doesn't have, he doesn't have. Let's come together to bring our diversity together to create something new, right?
Like that.
To create a new synergy, to create a new potential solution. And that's what the SOS debates are all about.
I like that idea.
It's the culture behind everything that matters.
And that seems to be working well when you witness these debates going on.
Absolutely, beautifully.
Yeah.
Beautifully.
Yeah, it's very rewarding, isn't it?
It's absolutely rewarding.
You know what also, Marleny, I really enjoy young children. I mean, I've got a family of my own. I've written 2 books about young people, and I've always had an interest in youth. And to me, I think we have to start as early as possible.
Yes.
And I'm sure you agree. You're a mom.
Yes.
Start as early as possible to teach our children these fundamentals. These are so important. What you just talked about. Share your opinion with me. Let me respect what you're saying. Let me try to learn something new at an early age. And I believe that when you do that with a child, and I have experience as a parent, when you do that with a child, you may think that it goes, without notice. But that really settles in, especially when you started young.
Yes.
And later on in life as a parent, it comes back to you and you hear your child say something and you say, wow, I'm so glad that I heard her or him say that because they learn something about the respect value that you were talking about. So important. Young kids in the home, of course, but also I'd like to see it in some schools. There's nothing wrong with that. We shouldn't get so sensitive about that if you're teaching children to have a healthy debate.
Yeah.
I
love how you're taking this full circle. Absolutely. Because then I present you SOS Org, right? SOS Org, formerly known Young Adult Role Model Academy.
Oh, good.
It has been in many different school systems here in New Jersey and here as well as coming soon.
Yeah.
And basically it teaches the fundamental of the tools that they need to succeed.
Yeah.
Debates is one of them. Communication is one of them, right? So we take this program to the schools where we get them into teams and we have them debate a particular topic.
Good.
Right? They have to prepare very, very well for this. And as they're debating, they're not only understanding their own perception, but how they can grow with somebody else's opinion, with somebody else. Okay, I did research on this, but I never seen it in that perspective.
And you know what I really like about what you're talking about? You're talking about bringing these young people together face to face.
Yes.
Off the telephone.
Yes.
Okay, off these different platforms. I love this because we need to have more of that communication. When you're looking at somebody, you and I are looking at each other right now, there's an eye-to-eye contact. Yeah. We're physically present. Yes. There's a whole different dynamic that takes place from using technology. So I'm glad that you're doing that. And I bet some kids are learning just from that experience, just to be with somebody else in person.
Yeah, and you should see them. This gets recorded and aired as well. They get into character. I love it. And especially when I'm doing the public speaking, they get a skip, they act it out. And you really see the dynamic within them, the power within them, right?
Yeah.
That sometimes they don't even realize because now they're so stuck on their phone.
Sure.
When they don't have this device and now they have to bring what they have from inside, they are often surprised.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Going back to the whole theme of children, one particular book that I wrote, and it's called Ernie and the Big News, The Adventures of a TV Reporter. And it's a book about, my life growing up as a kid, wanting to be a broadcaster and then coming to New York, covering the stories. And it's positive news. When I go out and speak to a lot of children, 450 at each school in the New York area, elementary school. And they're all gathered out there. And we give them, by the way, there's a wonderful charity, St. Patrick's, I can't remember the name of anyway, it'll come to me. We'll edit this. But anyhow, we give books to all of these kids, 450 books per each session. But what I do is I ask these kids, because I talk about my career, and I say, what do you want to do? And I say, you have to remember something. When I had a teacher in school, she said to me during the time that they were doing careers in school, career day. And I said to her, I said, Miss Ryan, how do you know how to choose your career? And she looked at me and she said, whatever you enjoy doing will be the avenue of your success.
Wow.
And I said, wow, what does that mean? She said, what do you like to do in your spare time? And I was only 13 years old. I said, I have a radio station in my basement, and I play radio. I play records, and I read, and I do the news. She said, that's it. So I asked the kids, what do you like to do when you have free time? Wow, they just put up their hands, and they start talking about, they have a fish collection. You know, maybe they'll go into oceanography. They start talking about all these different careers, and they light up. They just light up. So when you give them an opportunity to talk about something that really is deep inside and not feel uncomfortable about it, you'd be surprised what children will say.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
The name of the charity, by the way, is St. Francis Food Pantries, and they've been very supportive. We've given out thousands and thousands of books in the New York area, Ernie and the Big News. It's still available. You can get it on Amazon.
I want to get it for my daughter.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a great book. Yeah, it's having a dream and changing the world for the better.
That's amazing. And it's such a blessing that you were exposed to that so young. Exposure is so important.
Yes.
One of the reasons why in our program for the after school and the different schools that we are in, we take different career, like people that represent different career paths.
Sure.
Because if they're not exposed to it, they will never fathom the idea.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So in order for you to know what you like, you have to be exposed to it. You have to try it out. You have to experiment a little bit. And this allows them the opportunity, like when the kids were able to see you and speak to you, right?
Yeah.
That
In
must have
person.
been such an exciting time.
Yeah.
And to know from your story firsthand
Yeah.
that you thought of something that you wanted to do and you ended up actually doing it. And here you are, how many years later still?
I know. And you know what,
That's
Marleny?
amazing.
What they see from what I do and from what you do when you're talking to people, they see your energy. They see your passion. They see your enthusiasm. That's very contagious.
Yes.
When people hear and see that, it motivates them. Now, you know what? I always ask my guests a question before I say goodbye. And I don't like to say goodbye. I can continue. But I think this is a good one for you. And it's the same question. But when we're talking about your experiences in life, what you have done and what you're looking to continue to do, if you had to pass along to a newborn baby a little piece of information that you've learned to say, I'm going to give you this, I'll write it down, put it someplace in some point in life. I want you to read it, and hopefully it'll help you in your life. What kind of wisdom would you be able to, impart to these children to say, here's something that I want you to think about? What would you give a newborn baby?
That's so deep.
And it can change, of course, years will go by. But nevertheless,
Yeah.
there's some things that are pretty fundamental, pretty basic in life.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Wow, that's so powerful.
I got you on the spot here.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, okay. I know you come up with something.
When I was pregnant, I wrote a poem to my daughter, and it's a very long poem, but just thinking of that, something that I could pass it down to her.
Wow.
And
So you did that.
Yes.
This is great.
And I eventually I want to write it down and pass it down to her and publish it for her. But what I would share is that it is very important for you to not only know what you want, but know yourself. Who are you? What are you? You're the one that defined that, right? Develop a definition of yourself. Don't allow others to give you that definition. Right. Look within, define who you want to be, make that your hero and walk towards it every single day. Not your present self, because your present self has a lot that you need to improve.
Sure.
Your best version of you that you can possibly fathom.
I love that.
And work towards it every single day.
What a nice piece of advice to pass along. You've done it here, but you did it for your daughter. I think that's classic. That's the first time I've heard somebody tell me that they've already done that. So listen, I want people to be able to reach out to you, okay? SOS. If people listening, watching right now, and they say, okay, I like what you're doing. I like the magazine. I want to get on board. I want to listen and watch you. Tell people how they can reach you.
Absolutely. So they can reach me at sosradio.live. That's where the shows are on.
Yep.
The magazine is sosmagazine.live. The podcast, sosradiopodcast.com.
Yep.
And we are on all social media channels, sosradio.live as well.
You're everywhere.
Yeah.
I love this. So this is the magazine, SOS Magazine, Nurturing Minds, Empowering Hearts. I love this.
Thank you so much.
Marleny Cruz, what a joy to have you here today. Congratulations on all you're doing. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Because you have a good mission that you're really following, and your heart is in the right place. And I'm sure people are saying, I like what she does. I want to get on board. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I'm honored to be sitting next to the legend.
My pleasure.
Ernie, thank you so much.
Okay, really appreciate it. Thanks for being our guest. I appreciate you watching today. Hope you got something out of it. I know you did. Okay, we'll see you next time. Stay positive.